Welcome to the Well-Off Podcast, where the goal is to motivate, inspire, and share success principles. I'm your host, George Masri. On this episode, I interviewed Gary Hibbert, who is a realtor, an investor, a longtime investor, started in 2008, and we talked about private lending and passive investing. He started private lending a little while ago when he realized that he wanted to basically have a more passive approach to investing, didn't want to be as active and finding deals and dealing with tenants and that sort of thing. We also talked about fundamentals of investing, why it's important to focus on cash flow and not count on appreciation. And we also discussed looking at where Walmart stores are opening and using that as an indication as to where the market is growing as well. Because if there are Walmarts going into certain areas, then you know that there's a good chance they've done their research and that real estate prices will continue to climb in those areas as well. And then we also touched on setting 100 goals and also the importance of focusing on only a small number of those goals. So there's a lot of cool things in there. I know you guys are going to enjoy it. And if you do, I ask you to make sure to share this with a friend or a family member and also leave us a review on the podcast platform. And if you want to connect with me, you can check me out on Instagram, WellOffX, and I hope you'll enjoy the rest of your day. All right, I'm here with Gary Hibbert. Gary is a second-time guest on the show. I've been on his as well. He's got his own podcast, and he's living a good life now, and nice and comfortable. And we were just talking a little bit about that lately, because last time you were on, you had told me that you sold some of your real estate, your rental properties, and you were investing in private mortgages at that time, making a return that way and then kind of replacing your income.
Yep.
What's life looking like for you these days?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm still doing the private lending. But, before we started, I think I kind of told you, you're like, hey, we're going to maybe talk about the private lending. I was like, don't talk to me about it, man. I am not the guru on the whole private lending.
Yeah.
Yes, it's my company, but one of the things that I like to do is partner with people who are much smarter than me, people that have paved that way. So I've got a good high level understanding of it. But when people come to me and they're like, hey, I need some private lending, no problem. Go over to my wife, go over to my partner, and they've been doing it for a very long time, so they get it, they understand it. I sold off a few of my properties. I've got that into private lending because now I'm looking more for passive stuff. I'm not looking to really grow the portfolio. I will if I see something that looks really good and it kind of lands on my lap. Mm-hmm. But really for me now, it's about giving back. Like I really enjoy helping beginning investors or people that have hit that brick wall. They don't know what to do next or how to grow. Yeah. That I enjoy. Mm-hmm. And so I spend a lot of time doing that. And if anybody's has been listening to me, or maybe this is the first time they've heard me, I'm really big on mini retirements, and so that's what I've kind of built my life around is mini retirements. And so we take July and August off, and then we take December and January off, and so we just don't do any events. Now, I want to make sure I'm very clear. Like we are agents, my team, we're all real estate agents, so we still do some work, but it's just not as hectic. So we don't have the events going on. If a client's looking for a property, we'll still take them out. But I'm really now big on enjoying the cottage because, I picked up a cottage a few years ago and enjoying life.
Yeah.
And then when September hits again, boom, I'm at it. Because you know what? People say, oh, man, I can't wait to retire. Try and lay on a beach for a whole year. Right? You're going to be a professional beach bum?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I think if you do these little mini retirements, it never feels like you have to wait until you're 65 or 70 to retire. And then it also allows us to be creative, come with new ideas. Where do we want to take the business? And so that's what we've really done. And the great thing as well, too, is that a lot of our investors that follow us and work with us see that we are actually living the life that we're saying that we're trying for them to live as well, too.
Yeah. Well, you obviously, there was a span of your life where you were in growth mode. You were acquiring real estate, probably, doing some of the work yourself or spending a lot of time hiring contractors, that kind of thing.
Yep.
At what point did that change for you? At what point did your life become a little more comfortable? You know, like obviously it takes time for your wealth to accumulate, to pay down the mortgage, to have a little bit more to play with. So do you remember that moment when things kind of started changing, or you realized that it was changing?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the year now. Maybe around 2018, I think, somewhere around there.
Yep.
Somewhere around there. And what had happened was we were getting into this mode of, okay, so what's next? Because it's going to be very difficult to continue to scale our real estate portfolio by buying single-family homes and converting them to legal 2 units and doing the BRRRR strategy.
Yeah.
And so we're like, okay, why don't we get into apartment buildings? Because, you know, the people that we were looking up to, that's what they were doing, you know, singles and the 2 units and then 4s, and then they would get into the 10s and 12s and, you know, 50 units. So we took some courses on it. And then I went out with, what's his name again? Casey Wong.
Yeah.
So he took me out into his neck of the woods. We went and looked at some apartment buildings. And at the end of the day, we got home. I'm like, okay, yeah. But, you know, it's a different type of investing, different type of tenant profile.
Yeah.
Not knocking it by any means. And then I went for a Christmas party with one of my mentors, Dave Butler, right? One of the
mortgage broker.
Yeah. I'd say probably one of the best in the industry. You know, number one for I don't know how many years now, 3 or 4 years. And I talked to him about so we were sitting down, we were talking, and he goes, "So Gary, what's next? Like, what are you going to do next?" And I go, "Well, you know, I'm thinking about getting into multifamily." And I think the way I said it, he was just like, "Yeah, that's one way of doing it." And I think he knew that I wasn't really excited about it because we weren't super excited, but it felt like this was the next path to go. And so I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, "Well, have you kind of taken a look at private lending?" And then that's when we were like, "Hey, why don't I maybe sit down and really have like I knew what private lending was at a high level, but I was like, let's maybe kind of dig into it." And then what it really was more passive investing. And that's what we were looking for, more cash flow.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes people get caught up in, well, I need to have 50 doors or 100 doors or 200 doors. Again, I'm not knocking you.
Yeah.
But what I realized was that I didn't love real estate investing.
Yeah.
What I was looking for was a lifestyle. And I think that's what people forget as they're growing their portfolio. Like, why are you doing it? Is it to collect doors?
Yeah.
Do you really love tenants and bricks and mortars and roof and leak? No. Yes, I understand you can put systems in place, but at the end of the day, if you've got these great properties and you still have these properties and you can sell some of them off and you can get, say, cash flow of like $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 a month, okay, now you can take a step back and say, what do I actually want to do with my life?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think a lot of people get caught up in that. Like, I want 100 doors or 200 doors or whatever. And I was like that too for a while because I would see like certain mentors of mine, they would have that. And then at one point you have to realize like, what do I actually want? It's not the number of doors. It's really like, I want this lifestyle. This is what I want my life to look like. And how do I get there? And you kind of work backwards, and that should give you a more clear idea of how many doors you need or how much cash flow you need or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, you don't have to have that many doors to have a great life.
Yeah.
You really don't. But I think the key also too is reverse engineering.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that people do is they jump into it, but they don't have a game plan or they don't have that roadmap. Like, how much do you actually need to make a month? What are the goals that you're trying to achieve? Because all of a sudden now you get caught up in this rat race. And listen, I've done a lot of podcasts with a lot of people who are very successful. And one of the things that it seems to be a common theme for some people when I kind of really dig deep is that a lot of them will say, I went through depression. I went through depression because I got caught up in going on stage, getting those accolades, getting that recognition of the award, and you get caught up in that cycle. And look, everybody's watching me, and look at this, what this investor's doing. He's doing so much better. He's got more doors. Look at his social media game. And then it becomes a competition with other people when it really should just be a competition of yourself.
Yeah, for sure. We just talked about, I think it was with Casey, actually. He was here, Casey Wong.
Okay.
I think I had mentioned that exact conversation with him, and it's so true. Like, you can't live your life always comparing what you have to what others have and trying to match them. You're never going to be happy. So like you said, just set goals for yourself, decide this is what I need to be happy. This is what I need to have the lifestyle that I want, and focus on that, and good things will happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And you know, if you sit there and you keep scrolling on Instagram, all of a sudden you start getting nervous about posting something because, well, am I going to post anything because this guy's or this girl's game is much better than mine? And you can get caught up in that real quick and real fast.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. So you said 2018 was when you felt like things started to change for you. How long had you been investing at that point?
I started investing back in 2008.
2008.
So we're about
10 years.
about 10 years or so.
10 years, and then just that appreciation, that mortgage pay down, that cash flow buildup, all of these things helped you get to a really good place. Because sometimes you hear people say, like, within 5 years, you should be wealthy if you start investing in real estate. And I don't think it necessarily happens that fast for most people. It's just depends how quickly you move. But
it also depends on the cycle of the real estate game as well too. Look, man, people are getting wealthy in like a year now.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Like, look at the price of these homes. We were just talking about that too.
Yeah.
Before we came in here, some of these homes are going up 100, 200,000 in a very short period of time.
Like 6 months sometimes.
Yeah. But don't worry about it. Inflation's only 4.5%.
Yeah.
Don't worry about all that.
Yeah, it's a crazy time.
It
Definitely.
is.
It's like it's unbelievable how things are changing. And I don't know. What do you think is going to happen? Not that anyone knows, but do you think that things will continue this way for a little while? Do you think this year things might change?
Yeah, it's a good question, right? I mean, look, nobody has that crystal ball. And I like looking at the market, trying to understand it. But I can tell you this. When the pandemic hit, okay, and we were doing webinars, and we were trying to get in front of it and trying to figure out where's it going to go. I was doing podcasts. I was interviewing some of the best in the industry, and nobody got it right.
Yeah.
Nobody got it right.
Nobody knows.
And so if that's the case, then here's what I like to focus on, and what I tell a lot of beginning investors to focus on, even seasoned investors, right, is take the whole appreciation piece out. Just forget about it.
Yeah.
Don't be, this home is going to be worth, an extra $200,000, by the end of the year. Who cares? Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So then if you can take that piece out, well, then what should you focus on? Fundamentals, location, cash flow.
Yeah.
Is this a property that I want to put in my portfolio?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right? And if you do the game like that, then you never have to worry about if the market's going to crash or if it's going to go up or down. Consider appreciation just like icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Right? And then the cake itself is the cash flow.
Yeah.
Focus on that. If you got to move to a different market, move to a different market. Look, when I started investing in real estate, I was buying properties in Whitby and in Oshawa, and then 2012, 2013, then I started moving out to Curtis and Bowmanville and Newcastle, and people were like, Curtis, Bowmanville, like, where's that? What's going on over there? And what I was doing was I was looking at other larger players in the game, like Walmart. And if Walmart is building a store out in Bowmanville.
Yeah.
Well, look, they got a whole research and development department.
Yeah.
Why am I going to go and open up a research and development department with Smart Home Choice? And so we started investing out there. And then in 2017, when the market started going real crazy, if you remember, in Durham, then we moved into Peterborough. And so I'm always looking at what makes sense, what are the numbers, what are the vacancies, what's happening in that city, having conversations with city council, what do they need, what are the bylaws, and now we're moving into another location because Peterborough's starting to get a little bit crazy right now. It's still good, comparing that to Durham or even Toronto, and now we're moving into other areas because I always want to be a step ahead of the game and being aware of where I see things going. Yeah. Right?
I actually started thinking like that too recently because my intention was to keep all my rental properties in like a similar area. But I'm starting to see that the areas I'm in, like Welland, for example, they're getting hit now with a lot of marketing from like cash offers, whatever. They're getting those things all the time, and the prices have appreciated so much in that area that I'm starting to think, well, what if we started targeting other areas close by? Because naturally these places are going to appreciate if like Welland's increasing, so people are going to have to be forced to move out. So I think that's a great strategy, and just try to be ahead of others a little bit. Everybody's flocking to these areas because they become trendy all of a sudden. So why not focus on like an area close by that could appreciate in the near future?
100%. And so I'll touch on that as well too. But when we moved into Peterborough, I remember people saying that we were crazy. Like, why would you move to Peterborough in 2017? And so what we did is we sat down with the city. We knew that they were in the process of making an amendment to their bylaw. So there was only certain areas, a very, very small area in Peterborough that you can actually have a 2-unit dwelling. In all the other places, you actually had to do an amendment, not an amendment, but what is it called? Minor variance, right? Minor variance. But they were making a change to it. And so what we started doing was we were buying single-family homes, because we were buying these homes for like $250, $270.
Yeah.
But they cash flowed as a single family.
Yeah.
And then we're like, once they make the change to that bylaw, well then, wow, imagine, if the tenant leaves and now we can convert this into a legal 2-unit, right? And so that's what we were looking at. We were forecasting where things were going.
Yeah.
But also making sure that we had, you always want to make sure you have 2 exit strategies as well too. Well, one is, okay, great, it cash flows. And number 2, look what it can cash flow if we can convert this into a legal 2-unit. And then in regards to what you're saying about moving out, like you're in Welland and taking a look at some of these other small cities, and you're like, yeah, but I don't know much about it. Well, do your homework. And then number 2, don't forget that those families that are now in Welland that want to live in Welland maybe can't live in Welland. And so then what do? They got to now start moving to the suburbs.
Yeah.
And if they're going to move out into the suburbs, their rent payments are probably going to be about the same as well too. And that's what that's what we're seeing as you continue to move out. The rents don't change all that much.
Yeah, that's true.
We've also even moved into North Bay with some of our investors as well too. I'm not driving there.
Yeah.
Okay. But I've got a great contact out there, and the rents are a little bit lower, but not much, and the prices are so much cheaper as well too, right?
That's
now,
crazy.
again, depending on your investing strategy, depending on your comfort level, but the vacancy rates out there are great as well too. They're very low.
It's insane what's happening, because I remember like 4 years ago, I was talking to someone who had bought an investment property in Windsor. And his property was on the market, he said, for like almost a year, because he couldn't find somebody to buy it. There wasn't demand there. And now look at what's happened to Windsor. Look at what's happened to Sudbury and like all these other little spots that people didn't know anything about a couple years ago.
Right.
Yeah, people are flocking to these areas, so it's cool to see. And I know people are starting to buy in like New Brunswick, in Alberta. Things are changing.
Yeah, no, they are. They're definitely changing. And there's a housing crisis. There's a legitimate housing crisis, in the GTA. Yeah. I think we just passed Vancouver as well too. I think I just read
I read that somewhere. Yeah. The average price is higher in Toronto now than it is in Vancouver.
Yeah, so I sent a message to my team today. I'm like, man, I don't know if I should be happy because my portfolio's gone up so much, or if I should feel sad because my clients that are trying to buy homes are getting priced out, right?
I know.
Like it's like this double-edged sword.
Well, the thing is, the way things are right now, you have to be creative. If you try to do what everyone else is doing, you're going to fail most likely, or you're just going to just wait for so long, and it's just not going to work.
100%.
And there's so many ways to be creative. There's so many opportunities that you can create by just thinking outside the box. And that's so important to do right now if you want to get ahead, if you want to continue to buy, continue to find or create opportunities.
100%.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we like to do as well, too, with the group of investors that we work with is to be creative and also create opportunity within our group. And so some investors are like, hey, look, I want to sell my property. And we're like, hey, look, okay, well, just do a little CMA, see what the home is worth, and see if we can find an investor within the group that will take it off your hand so that the tenants don't have to worry about 50 different real estate agents going into the property. Keep them a little bit happy, get the price that you want to get, and then allow another investor to get into the game.
There you go. That's a pocket listing right there.
Exactly. And so, membership has its benefits.
Yeah, exactly. For sure. Knowing the right people, having relationships with realtors, with property managers, these types of things, that can get you some opportunities. I've heard of a lot of people, or even a lawyer, like a real estate lawyer. Sometimes if you ask them, they might know of somebody or come across a situation. So yeah, there's so many ways. What are some other creative ways that you have kind of been a part of to help clients, to help yourself find or create opportunities?
Here's something that I do with a lot of my clients. Because here's what ends up happening a lot of times is sometimes a client will be like, okay, I saw this property, let's go and take a look at it. And what I do with my clients is we'll go out, we'll look at some properties, whether it's on a Saturday or whatever. We see anything we like, great. If we don't, okay, what are you doing next Wednesday? Okay, you're busy? Okay, what about Thursday? Okay, Thursday, 10 a.m., we're going out. I don't even care what's on the market. If we schedule it for Thursday, 10 a.m., we're going out. Yeah. Here's what happens is that a lot of times, sometimes an agent will give me a call that morning and say, hey, look, we're reducing the price. And then all of a sudden now, boom. And before it gets updated on MLS, obviously in this market it's a little bit different, but I'm talking before, is that we could pick up a good deal. So I never worry about looking for exactly what they're looking for. I'm like, let's just go out and take a look. Because sometimes you can also find great opportunities with homes that have been sitting in the market for a very long time.
Yeah.
Where they've been sitting in the market for like 100 days. And agents just start overlooking it.
Yeah.
Clients just start overlooking, I saw that one, I saw. But when you go out there, sometimes it's like this diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you got this fantastic property. So I'm always like, just go out, let's book it. We'll go out, we'll go take a look at the property. Because you never know what you'll find. And I always like to take a look at properties that have been in the market for that has passed their offer date.
Oh, yeah.
Always. At least one has to be in there.
Yeah, I target those sometimes. Like I'll just look for those opportunities and then call the agent right away or text them or whatever and figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Is it available? What are you guys expecting? And just try to get in there right away, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. As investors, you got to be creative. You got to be able to also want to go out with people who are looking at things from a different perspective, a different angle to see what can work, what can't work, and and just sometimes you're sitting there and you're having different conversations there, and like, what if we do this? Maybe this can work. Yeah, right. And
that's part of the creativity. Like when you have that property in this market that's been on the market for 100 days, there's probably something wrong with it.
Yes.
And the question becomes, does it make sense to solve that problem? Does it make financial sense? Mm-hmm. And if so, then this is the opportunity, right? So a lot of people, like you said, will just overlook it. No, it's been there. It has a foundation problem or it has this problem or whatever. Well, maybe you can work something out with the sellers. Maybe they're willing to pay part of the repairs for the foundation or whatever it might be.
Right, because listen, it's been in the market that long. They want to sell it.
Yeah.
They want to sell it, right? And so now you got to try and create this win-win for the buyer and the seller.
What about financing strategies? Is there anything you can share for investors? Right now, it could be tough. Like if somebody's got a couple mortgages, it might be a little bit tough to qualify. Do you have any tips for? I know you're not a mortgage agent, but anything that you've come across that can help people qualify or just come up with creative solutions?
Yeah. Here's a great saying: better to have half a watermelon than a whole grape.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard that one before. Yeah. And really what I'm saying with that is joint ventures.
Yeah.
Joint ventures has been something that has allowed me to quit my full-time job.
Yeah.
My first two properties were joint ventures, like back in 2008. I didn't even know what joint ventures were. I just knew that I didn't have the money or enough of it, and I had to partner with somebody.
Yeah.
And the joint venture agreement that we had was like, it was like this, your little cue card. We just wrote it down, and we're like, hey, look, you know what? We're going to put in 50, percent of the money, you put in 50, and we're going to split everything 50-50. And that opened my eyes to, well, hold on a second. What if I continue to kind of build my portfolio this way and go to these real estate investment clubs and webinars and learn more about joint ventures and how it works?
Yeah.
I think the problem that a lot of beginning investors have is that they hear more of the horror stories. Yeah. And so then they shy away from it. But man, joint ventures has been probably one of the best ways that I've been able to grow my portfolio. And then the other thing as well, too, to add to that is that nobody in this game does well on their own.
Yeah.
You have to have partners with you, whether it be your lawyer, your accountant, your mortgage agent, your contractor. It doesn't matter what it is. Everybody that's successful, Jeff Bezos, everybody has partners, have a team behind them. So don't worry about just, I got to do this on my own. Yeah. You can do that on your own as well too as you're building your portfolio. I've got properties that are in my own name and just for me and my family. And I also got partners where I'm also helping them as well too. And so you're creating a win-win, and you're also bringing somebody in that complements you, and you're complementing them, because without each other, you don't have anything.
Yeah.
So better to have, half a watermelon than
I agree with you. I think that was in Stefan Arno's book.
Was it? I don't remember.
I think it was one of the first ones.
Was
that
it Money People Deal? Was it in that one?
Yeah. Okay. It was like one of the first pages.
Great. Was it? Okay. I have to go back and take a look at it. I actually just took it out the other day and looked at it. It's a phenomenal book. Listen, that guy was an amazing guy. Controversial at that time, you know what I mean? But I always respected him, because he was always brave enough to say what he wanted to say, and he was a great leader. And rest in peace, Stefan. Rest in peace.
Yesterday I got a haircut, as you can tell. Look, the fade's looking nice, right?
I love it. Sharp.
Just kidding. But yeah, I was getting my haircut. The barber, he like was just asking me questions. I told him I invest in real estate and whatever, and I realized how important in that moment, how important mindset is, because he kept he threw maybe 10 to 12 excuses at me as to why he's not investing in real estate. I just asked him a simple question. What have you ever invested? He's like, mortgages right now, they're tough. Prices are so high. It's $1 million minimum to get in the market. Just kept throwing these things at me. And I just thought to myself, if this is what you believe, you're never going to invest.
Right.
You're always going to be stuck here.
Yep.
You have to change what you think and how you think in order to get ahead in life. So do you come across that sometimes? And how do you help people kind of shift their mindset so that they can get ahead?
That's a good question. Here's what I do. Because there was a time when I was always trying to convince people to get into real estate investing, because I knew how powerful it was and what it could do for you, and especially with all the printing of money that they're doing now. But I mean, they were printing it back in 2008 as well too. And so if you study history, you can see where things are going. And so I remember I had a friend come over, and we were in the backyard, we're hanging out, having a couple drinks, and I was trying to convince him to get into real estate investing. And he goes, you know what, Gary, not everybody wants to invest in real estate, and some people do like their job. And that really kind of stuck with me. And I remember after that day, I said, never again will I try to convince anybody, because there are certain people that you can't convince, and it's none of my business.
Yeah.
And so now all I do is just be a beacon.
Yeah.
And so now that I'm a beacon, people that come to me now are now legitimately looking for help and advice and are willing to change. You can't change somebody's mindset if they don't want it to change. Yeah. So it's none of my business. Yeah. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Yeah. I'm not here to convince you. Yeah. But if you ask me questions, I'll tell you why now is the best time to invest. What? Why? How? Because prices are so high. Well, then fine. Keep your money in the bank. Yeah. Keep it in the bank and see what's happening to inflation.
Or look back at this moment 10 years from now and see if prices are really high now.
Right. And not only that, again, I don't know where it's going. Yeah. But what I'm saying is in inflationary times, it's better to have an asset than to keep it in the bank. I'll give you an example. A really good friend of mine had a condo last year, and we sold it. And he goes, I'm just going to rent for a bit, and I'm going to try and save some money. And I'm like, I don't know if that's a good idea, but if you're going to, do not stay out of the game for long. Yeah. Because this is a dangerous market right now. Yeah. And I'm telling you, the amount of money, I can't remember what the stat is, how much money they've printed in the last, 2 years. I think it was 70 or 80% of all the money in the last, since World War II or something like that. Yeah. Don't quote me on that. Fact check me. I don't have a Joe Rogan guy here to fact check me, but it's something ridiculous. So when you print that much money, and you're going to have that much inflation, well, what do you think is going to happen to these assets? They're going to go up. So I saw that. I understood that. And so now he just came back around literally a week ago, and he goes, okay, I'm ready. And we were looking at homes in Ajax and Pickering. I'm like, that's gone. You're not in that area. You are now in Oshawa, and I don't think you're even in Oshawa, honestly, to tell you the truth. And so now he's looking, west of Barrie, there's a place called what's it called again? I can't remember the name of it. Anyways, that's where he's looking now. Somewhere out in
you don't even know.
a place where he doesn't really want to be, but that's where
that's where he wants
to get into the market. Yeah, exactly. And so again, just I tell people to really try to pay attention to history. I think that's such an important thing. Again, history doesn't always repeat, but it definitely rhymes. And if you can understand that, I'll give you an example. I was reading this or listening to this one podcast, and again, just little small things that you hear can help you analyze where you might be going. And she had mentioned that back in World War II, interest rates were low, and however, private debt was high, and government debt was high. Okay, and so they keep the interest rates low. Now, if you go to the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, remember how they jacked up the interest rates? And what ended up happening was private debt was high, but government debt was low. So they didn't really care about the citizens, right? Yeah. But now we are in a period of where government debt is high again, and private debt is high as well too. And so this is your 80-year cycle.
When you say private debt, you mean like credit card debt,
right?
That kind of stuff.
Exactly,
yeah,
right?
Student loans,
right? And so people are like, yeah, but they're going to jack the interest rates up. They can't because their debts are so high as well too. Yes, interest rates will probably eventually go up, but right now they're going to keep it low. And so people are like, they were shocked that they didn't raise the rates back in, when was it, end of January or whenever it was.
Yeah, the rates remain the same.
Didn't shock me. They should have.
Yeah.
You know,
because they're announcing that they're going to jack up the rates 8 times or whatever in the year, and then first time comes around and they don't do it. So, yeah, I agree with you. And obviously the rates are one part of why the market is the way it is.
Yep. That's not everything, but yeah, you're right.
We're not building enough. Obviously, that's one of the problems. It's very difficult for developers. So I actually have a land developer that I'm going to be talking to later on.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different factors in this. But like you said, you have to just find a way. And yeah, for a lot of people, like we have clients that were looking to buy. They started looking like 2 years ago, and they were looking in the Durham region.
Yeah.
We don't normally work out there, but these people were looking out there, and they're just way priced out of the market now.
Yeah.
And like prices have almost doubled from what they started at. And that's the thing. Like people sometimes they're afraid because, whoa, like Oshawa, you're paying $600,000 for a place in Oshawa. That's crazy. And then things now they're worth $1.2 million. You know,
right.
So yeah. So I don't think the price of a home should let anyone be afraid or you shouldn't walk away necessarily from the price, but focus on the fundamentals. Like you said, the cash flow, don't worry about appreciation, make sure that it's in the right neighborhood, make sure it fits your model, and just go from there.
Yeah, 100%, right? You know, I think people get caught up in the price, but, you know, take a look at the numbers. Do the numbers work? Yeah, people, and all the other thing as well too. People are always looking for the lowest interest rates.
Yeah,
but it doesn't always have to be the lowest interest rates. As long as the numbers work, you know, sometimes private lending is a way to go.
Yeah.
You know, vendor takebacks. Like there's so many different ways to get into this game. You just have to be creative. And if you're not creative, then start hanging out with people who are creative.
Yeah.
As opposed to worrying about, well, yeah, this won't work. Well, how can we make this
mindset?
Work? That's it. The mindset is, you know, 80% of it, probably even higher than that.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one of the things I would say that really kind of led to my success. Before I even got into real estate investing, I started listening to Jim Rohn. I started changing my mindset back in 2007. And just some of the things that he said was like so profound, you know, that it really changed the person that I am today.
Yeah.
You know, they say that things get created twice, once in the mind and then once in the physical form. Meaning that take a look at the CN Tower. Somebody thought that up in their head. That didn't disappear. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And so then if you apply that philosophy to just something as incredible as a CN Tower, then what about, you know, what you can do with getting into real estate and writing down really kind of, you know, what you want in life. And I'll tell you this. Here's a great example. I remember when I started using the whiteboard, and I still use a whiteboard today, and writing down everything that I want and when I want it, what month. And I remember, I think it was 2010, I wrote down that I wanted 4 investment properties. Now remember, my mindset was still growing. It wasn't fully there yet. And at the end of the year, I had 4 investment properties. Like, holy shit, I get it. I get it. I'm starting to now draw the lines to what Jim Rohn was saying, was that, you know, if you really think money is that important, because people get so caught up in holding money or how much money they got in their bank account, treat money like oxygen. Yeah. Right? Attract it when you need it, and then release it when you don't need it. Wow. And so then now you never have to worry about actually holding it. You can attract the money when you want it. Yeah. Because I remember there was this time in 2014 when I left the bank, and I remember a lot of my coworkers were like, yeah, but the market's going to crash. You're going to lose everything. And again, my mindset was getting there, and I'm like, oh, my God, what if I do? What if I lose everything? But then when you really can get over that hump of, well, it doesn't matter if I lost everything because I still have the skill sets. Yeah. And that means I can build it back even better. I can build it back even faster. So then now you're not scared of losing anything.
Yeah.
right? So don't get caught up in that. Like, what if the market crashes? What if it goes this way? Who cares?
Yeah.
Just get in it for the experience.
Yeah.
Get into it for the fun. The more failures that I've had in my life have led to more success,
Yeah.
more opportunities, more fun. Some sleepless nights at time.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now, honestly, there isn't much that keep me up.
Yeah.
I just know, you know what? Here are some of the issues that I got to deal with tomorrow. Think about it a little bit. Go to bed. Because you know what happens as well, too, when you go to bed? Your mind starts to actually figure out how to solve some of these issues and some of these problems, right?
Sometimes that could be a bad thing, though, because it keeps you up.
It can be, yeah. So you do have to be careful, right?
Yeah.
But again, though, you know, it depends on your mindset. It depends on what you're reading. It depends on what you're, how you're dealing with this and the philosophies that you believe in. And so I'm always, if I'm driving, I'm always trying to learn something new. Listen to a podcast. I've listened to yours. I've listened to, you know, a lot of, you know, Sarah Larby's and you know, I've listened to Mark Lofter's up there. I'm always trying to educate myself. Then I also like to listen to music. Because you can only educate yourself for so long. Because then it's too much. Right? So then you have to start implementing what you've learned.
For sure. What has you excited over the next couple months? What are some of the personal things you're working on? Some things that just, you know, you're looking forward to?
So what's got me excited for the next couple of months is just really not knowing sometimes where things are going. I do like that. Like the surprise, like we have our whole year planned out. But I do like when things come up that I don't know how to solve because it makes me excited. It does because then I bring my team in, and the team that I've got, you know, Chris and Quentin, they're fantastic, and we're always, and Darlene as well too. We're always solving problems, trying to figure things out. But outside of that, what's got me excited is, you know, the low inventory that's out there, and trying to figure out new ways on how to solve that. So that's cool. So that's from a problem standpoint. The brokers that we've got, so we're continuing to grow that, which I love, and so we're up to about 122 or 123 agents. So our brokerage is out in Oshawa. I'm excited about teaching those agents because I do monthly classes for them as well too, along with the investors that we have, and teaching them just the importance of not only just focusing on helping your clients buy your home, but also now those clients that have bought homes, you can also teach them now how to buy 2 or 3 homes. So open up more opportunities, not just for the agents, but also for the clients that they have, right? And have repeatable business there. I should have brought my whiteboard with me. I got a whole ton of stuff on there. What else is there? I'm always looking forward to the summer. Yeah, because I love it. I love it, you know. Because I really enjoy taking that little break because I've realized how short life is. I've seen things happen. Like I've lost my mom. My wife has lost her mom. I've lost my sister. I've lost some good friends. And so I try not to get too caught up in that grind. Yes, some people do that. I get it. I am grinding right now, but there comes a time when I have to stop and take that break and enjoy life, and you know, sit down by the campfire, have a cigar. And so there's a number of different things that I'm looking forward to, and it's a combination of working hard in business and also playing and having a good time.
Sure. And that's one of the beautiful things about working hard for a long period of time. It accumulates, the compound effect. You get to a point where things just get easier. You know, life just gets a little bit easier, and it's like things just happen. You know, you just keep working at it, and like things change, and you can see it. You know, sometimes you just look back and think, wow, this is where I was. This is where I'm at now. My life is becoming the life that I want it to be, and it's great.
Yeah, but I'm always looking for growth.
Yeah.
You know, I think if you're not growing, then you're dying.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm always excited to sit down with my wife, coming when we get to July, August, we take a look at our whiteboard, we check off what we've accomplished.
Yeah.
And then we take stuff off or we add new things on, which is called your mid-course correction. And then at the end of the year, we take a picture of it, we file it away, and then we do our new whiteboard for the next year. And then and when we file it away, we go back every 3 or 4 years and take a look at it and like, oh my God, look at this, we accomplished this as well too, because it's almost like placing your order to the universe. And I know it sounds, woo-woo, but I'm telling you, it works. It works. I've seen it. I've seen it happen so many times. I've had investors come up to me and, they bought 2 or 3 properties and they're like, yeah, I'm stuck. I don't know where to go now. Things aren't going the way I want it to go. I'm like, no problem. Show me your whiteboard. oh shit, I stopped.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, is it really just as, look, I know people that don't use whiteboards and do well, but I can tell you though in the beginning, the whiteboard is incredibly important.
And
it really helps to give you direction.
The whiteboard could be a vision board. It could be, different things. Like it's kind of a metaphor, right?
Right. Here's what the whiteboard also does as well too, is that it also allows you to say no to things. See, people will go through life saying yes to everything, and they got all these different things, and they're pulling all these different directions, and you don't know whether or not that's really the path that you should be taking. But if you write it down and you know that these are the 10 things that you really want to do this year, and you now come to me with an idea, like, hey, Gary, why don't we start a business together? I don't know, whatever, cutting people's grass. Well, it's not my whiteboard.
Yeah.
So, no. And so if you can say no to things, it's just as equally important as saying yes to things.
Yeah, having clear vision. I just did an exercise for the first time because we hired a new coach. And she asked us to write down 10 goals and to break it down quarterly. What do I have to do every quarter to accomplish this goal? Right. And it's really cool to think of the 10 most important things, and that's it. Just focus on this. I don't care about anything else right now. If I can do these 10 things, I'll have a really good year. So I love the idea of doing that, just having clear vision. And don't get pulled into too many directions, like you said.
Right. What you're kind of doing there is you're creating these mini years.
Yeah.
Right. So now you've cut your year into quarters. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I've done that as well too. I'll go through a really quick exercise. I think this is really important for people to do, and I'll do it really quick. So one of the things that I learned in the beginning was to write down 100 things that you want in life. Mm-hmm. Great exercise to start off with. Most people can't. Most people probably can't even do 20 or 30 things. That just goes to show you how, most people are just kind of just going through life. So if you write down 100 things, where do you want to go? Who do you want it to be? What do you want to see? Is anything. Pay off a $1,000 credit card. I don't care. Or own a yacht. Everything. Then what you do is you put a 1, a 3, a 5, or a 10 beside it. Meaning, can I accomplish this goal in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, or 10 years? Everything that has a 3, 5, or a 10 beside it, put in your drawer. Mm-hmm. And the reason why you put in your drawer is because it's too daunting of a task. Yeah. Who cares, right? Don't worry about those goals right now. Everything that has a 1 beside it, which is your 1 year goal, that is what goes on your whiteboard. Mm-hmm. That's what you focus on. And then you use SMART goals, so specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time. And then you write down that goal and when you're going to achieve it, and that's what you're going to focus on. And then you can still apply what you use where you put it into quarters. So just, you got 10 things you're going to put in your whiteboard, maybe just focus on those 3 or 4 in that first quarter.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
And that's a great exercise for anybody that's listening, thinking about, what is it that I really want to achieve? Because if you do that, you'll look back 5 years from now and you'll see what was on your whiteboard 5 years ago compared to what you're putting on it now. Yeah. And it's going to be so incredible. Sure. You're like, I never thought I could actually even get to this level.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. Yeah. For sure. So we know what you do. You obviously help investors. So if they're looking for a rental in the Durham region or somewhere west of Barrie, you don't know exactly where.
I don't go there. I'll have one of my agents probably end up taking my client there.
You're the guy. So how do people reach you? Do you want to just share that quickly?
Yeah, so look, if they want to learn more about what I do, they can find me at garyhibbert.ca. So I do mentorship as well too. I only take on like 3 or 4 clients at a time. Yeah. And if they want to learn more about investing in real estate, then you can go to smarthomechoice.ca, where we do webinars and we've got membership and, I've got a couple agents that work with me that are fantastic. And it's just really helping you change your mindset and showing and teaching you where we're investing in real estate. And then, like I mentioned before, we've got the brokerage out in Oshawa, which is called Our Neighborhood Realty. But, Smart Home Choice and Gary Hibbert are probably the 2 best ways to get a hold of me. And in social media, just type in my name, Gary Hibbert, you'll find me.
Yeah. Awesome. Gary with 1 R.
Gary with 1 R. Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Gary, thanks a lot for coming by. I know you have a busy day. Appreciate your time and sharing all this knowledge.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's good to be on here for a second time. And listen, continue doing what you're doing. It's great to see your development over the years, and you truly are passionate in what you do, and you really truly want to help other people. And I think that's a great way, right, to give back to your community. So good for you. And it's great watching your growth. When did I first meet you? It was like Moxie's, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it was
Moxie's.
Moxie's.
I was probably 26 at the time.
Yeah, and I think you were just getting your license, I think.
No, I had my
you
license,
it?
but I was interested in investing. I didn't have any rentals at that point.
And now look at you. And look at you now. You probably got more properties now than I do.
I don't know about that, but yeah, no, it's been awesome. Like just seeing other investors and connecting and seeing your growth as well, because I know you're always focused on that. So yeah, it's great to connect with you again, and we'll do this again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks. Take care.
Thanks for listening to this episode. Your support is truly appreciated. And if you can share this with a friend or family member that might benefit from the information, remember our goal is to motivate and inspire others to take action and to build wealth and to become well off. Enjoy the rest of your day.